That gift from a friend, it could be a cursed object draining your baraka. These 5 seemingly thoughtful items are secretly used by witches. Far 3 looks innocent but invites evil spirits. The Prophet warned us. Do you have any of these? Unassuming gifts can carry harm, a spiritual warning in disguise. In our everyday lives, we often receive gifts from friends, relatives, co-workers, and even strangers. These gifts can range from perfumes and bracelets to wall art, decorative pieces or items for personal use. On the surface, these offerings may appear thoughtful, generous, and well-intentioned. But in certain cases, such items may serve as covert carriers of spiritual harm, particularly when presented by someone harboring jealousy, ill will, or malicious intent. Within Islamic tradition, the reality of Sihr, black magic, is not just superstition or folklore. It is a deeply serious matter confirmed in the Quran and Sunnah. Sihr can manifest in various forms, one of which includes seemingly harmless objects used as vessels to transmit harmful spiritual energy. The unsuspecting recipient might unknowingly introduce a source of spiritual disturbance into their home or life, all under the guise of a thoughtful gift. This doesn't mean every gift is dangerous. Islam does not teach us to be paranoid or suspicious of every act of kindness. However, we are also reminded to be spiritually alert and discerning, particularly in a world where envy, ill will, and unseen forces play a very real role in people's lives. Understanding the nature of Sihr, or magic, is real and dangerous. Allah mentions it in Surah Al-Baqarah 2:102, where it is described as a practice that can cause division, illness, and confusion. Those who engage in it do so at the cost of their souls. The Prophet also warned about Sihr being among the 7 destructive sins, Sahih al-Bukhari and Sahih Muslim, alongside shirk and murder. Sihr is often carried out using objects that are gifted or placed strategically in someone's home or environment. Items like perfumes, jewelry, or handmade crafts may be infused with harmful intentions or rituals. These objects can then become spiritual doorways, allowing evil forces to affect the recipient's emotional state, health, relationships, or even religious commitment. This is why scholars and spiritual healers often advise Muslims to be cautious about what they bring into their homes, especially from people who may not wish them well. Why access is the key one of the core principles. In the operation of Sihr is access. The magic or spiritual influence often requires some form of permission or entry point. This is not to say that the victim consents to being harmed, but that the object or medium used is usually willingly accepted by the person, which creates a form of spiritual vulnerability. When someone accepts a gift and brings it into their home, especially with joy and gratitude, they unknowingly open a small gate of trust. If the object is spiritually contaminated or used for magical purposes, that entryway can be exploited by jinn or shayateen tasked with carrying out the harm. It's similar to leaving the door slightly ajar for an intruder, not out of ignorance, but due to misplaced trust. This is why Prophet Muhammad advised his followers to always seek protection through dhikr and to be conscious of who they allow into their personal spaces, both physically and emotionally. Spiritual protection, through the Quran and Sunnah Islam, does not leave us vulnerable to such threats. In fact, Allah has given us numerous tools for protection through the Quran and Sunnah. These are not just spiritual rituals, but shields against all forms of harm, seen and unseen. Surah Al-Baqarah, one of the most powerful protections, is the regular recitation of Surah Al-Baqarah. The Prophet said, "Do not turn your houses into graves." Verily, Shaitan does not enter the house where Surah Al-Baqarah is recited, reported by Muslim. This chapter acts as a barrier, a spiritual fortress that repels shayateen and nullifies the effects of Sihr. Even playing its recitation in the background daily can have a cleansing effect on the environment. Ayatul Kursi and the last verses of Surah Al-Baqarah, among the most well-known and widely recited verses for protection, is Ayatul Kursi 2,255. The Prophet said that whoever recites it after every obligatory prayer will remain under the protection of Allah, and no harm will reach them until the next prayer. Similarly, the last two verses of Surah Al-Baqarah, 285-86, are a divine gift. The Prophet stated, "Whoever recites the last two verses of Surah Al-Baqarah at night, they will suffice him." Sahih al-Bukhari and Muslim. These verses serve as a spiritual shield for the household, particularly when recited before sleeping. Morning and evening. Adhkar, a Muslim's first line of defense against unseen harm, lies in the morning and evening adhkar, remembrances. These include powerful chapters like Surah Al-Ikhlas, Surah Al-Falaq, and Surah An-Nas, known collectively as Al-Mu'awwidat, the chapters of refuge. The Prophet himself used to recite these verses and blow them over his hands before wiping his body every night for protection. These chapters specifically ask for protection from the evil of those who practice magic or envy, guarding your privacy and emotional vulnerabilities. Not all harm comes from strangers. Sometimes it comes from those who know us best, friends, relatives, or colleagues who harbor hidden envy or resentment. For this reason, Islam emphasizes the importance of guarding one's personal matters and inner struggles. The Prophet said, "Seek help in the fulfillment of your needs by being discreet, for everyone who is blessed is envied." Reported by Tabarani. Oversharing your problems, blessings, or weaknesses can expose you to emotional and spiritual harm. Not everyone who listens to your worries is doing so with compassion. Some may use your vulnerabilities against you, while others, consciously or not, develop envy in their hearts that can translate into harm, either spiritually or emotionally. It's essential to be wise with what you share and whom you trust with your secrets. This isn't paranoia. It's emotional and spiritual intelligence rooted in Islamic teachings. Genuine faith versus paranoia. It is crucial to maintain a balanced outlook. Islam never calls us to live in fear or suspicion. In fact, excessive paranoia contradicts the essence of tawakkul, reliance on Allah. The goal of spiritual awareness is not to make us anxious or distrusting, but to heighten our connection with Allah and remind us that ultimate protection lies only with Him. As Muslims, we are encouraged to exercise caution without falling into obsession. Yes, gifts can sometimes carry spiritual harm, but the vast majority do not. The key is to be spiritually grounded, regular in remembrance, connected to the Quran, and conscious of who we allow into our inner circles. Practical steps for protection here are a few practical steps every Muslim can take to protect themselves from harm that may come through unassuming sources. Recite Ayatul Kursi after every obligatory prayer. Play Surah Al-Baqarah regularly in the home. Perform morning and evening adhkar without fail. Avoid oversharing personal matters, especially with those who exhibit jealousy or passive aggression. Give thanks often. Gratitude keeps the heart soft and deflects arrogance, which is a gateway to envy. Make dua for protection, such as the dua of the Prophet. Bismillahi. الذي لا يضر مع اسمه شيء في الأرض ولا في السماء وهو السميع العليم. In the name of Allah, with whose name nothing is harmed on earth nor in the heavens, and He is the all-hearing, all-knowing. Conclusion. Faith is your strongest shield. While it's true that gifts can sometimes carry spiritual danger, especially when given with malicious intent, the ultimate message is one of empowerment, not fear. Islam offers a rich and beautiful set of spiritual tools to guard oneself. The Quran and Sunnah are full of divine wisdom that teaches us to walk through life with caution, but also with courage, hope, and firm belief in Allah's protection. So next time you receive a gift, be grateful, but also be spiritually aware. Pray over it, and remember, no harm can touch a believer unless Allah wills. And with consistent remembrance and reliance on Him, you are far stronger than any hidden force. Because when Allah removes, he replaces. And what he replaces is always better, even if you can't see it yet.